Hey guys, this is Eve, Scrapbooking with me, and we're going to make a different card today, or we're going to try to. I haven't made one of these before, so we'll see what happens. So this is what we're making today, and I'm going to be very careful because all of my glitter is not completely dry. I just finished it, but when you slide it out, you've got another sentiment on the inside. Isn't that cute? It's very simple and easy to make, and you could put anything on here. It wouldn't have to be this. I have seen one similar to this that had a little airplane on there, so the airplane was flying through the air with the sentiment showing up, and you could put a longer sentiment if you had one that would just reveal all the way. But if you want to learn how to make this, just stay tuned. You're going to need a piece of cardstock for the base that is 8 inches by 6 inches, and you're going to score it 1/2 inch all the way around. So I just got it in my little scoreboard. I'm just going to score it at 1/2 on all sides. Alright, so that's what we've got. Put that up. And then just take your scissors, and on this little, let's see if we can see that, where the score lines meet, there's a little corner there. And you're just going to cut that corner out at a little bit of an angle, not much. Just about like that. On all 4 sides. Okay, then go ahead and do your folding. Bone folder on there, and I'm going to put a piece of cardboard down just because that glares until I can figure out my lights. So you won't have a glare in your eyes. Alright, what you're going to do is you're going to take the sides and put those down, and then put that one over the top like that. And I'll show you why in a minute that you want to do it that way. I'm just going to use some art glitter glue on my corners. If you have a little point sticking out there, you can just trim it off. Alright, we're going to let those dry just a minute. Don't take but a second, but I like to put those clips on and then I can just keep going. So while those are drying, what we're going to do is we're going to measure in on the end, and I'm sure that's dry by now. We're going to come in 2 inches from the end and make a little mark. So mark right there, and then 2 inches from this end, and make a little mark right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut that little piece out of just this top flap, not the whole bottom, just the top flap. And cut kind of on the outside of the mark that you made, because we want it to be just a little bit bigger. So like that, just cut on the outside. Cut down to that score line. Get that straightened up. Then you can just trim that part off. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out a little bit more on each side. When I get finished cutting it, I'll let you know how wide the opening is. Because we want an opening that this will fit in. So there we go, we've got that. So you need an opening that is 1¼ inches. So we have plenty of room now. Right, now you need 2 pieces that are cut at 1¼ by 8, and what you're going to do is glue those together. We're just going to put some glue on these. And just glue one on top of the other, just like that. And then you need 2 pieces that are cut at 1 inch by 4 7/8. Now this piece is a little bit shy, but it's not going to matter. This is just to make this a little bit sturdier. So I'm just going to glue this one on top. These are going to be on the inside and they're not going to be seen. So there we go. Now again, all of these measurements will be on my blog, so don't worry about trying to write anything down. Alright, and now this piece you want to glue on the top, right in the center of this one. So we just need to mark our center. And just make sure that you lay it down straight, because that's going to be very important. So you're making a T, as you can see. Now this is going to sit inside this card, the base of the card, just like that. And it's going to slide in and out, but it seems like mine's a little bit tight. So what we're going to do is just trim it off a little bit on each end. Just a tiny bit. You rather have it too long in the beginning is too short though, so make sure that you cut it the length that I put down, and then you can always adjust it. So see, that fits perfect right there. It slides back and forth. I just trimmed just a tiny bit off. And now we're going to put a little piece across here, and you can just put a little scrap piece of whatever across there. It doesn't matter what it is. I think I have a little scrap piece of this, because that's going to all be covered. So put a little glue right there and a little glue right there. Just make sure that you don't glue it to that though. You're going to sit it like that. And just glue it on each side. Make sure it don't get any glue on this part. Okay? Alright, so that is the base of the card. Alright, before we go any further, I want to stamp on this piece right here, and I've got it in my Tim Holtz stamp platform so that I won't mess up, hopefully. And if I do, then I can stamp it again. And I am using a stamp. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. Find Joy in the Ordinary. And it is from, what collection is it from? It is from this one, Inspired Dragonfly from Technique Tuesday. And if I can find this, I will link it below. So we're going to put that about right there. Make sure that it's straight. Hopefully I'm not getting my wild hair in the shot. Let's see if that looks about right. You can look at your grid lines on here to make sure that it's right. That looks about right to me. VersaFine in the black. And I'm going to ink that up really lightly first, because I don't want it to smear, hopefully. Okay, stamp it one more time. There we go. Very good. And now we're going to let that dry just a second. So that says, find joy in the ordinary. Okay, now what we want to do is take our pencil, and just on each side of that, we want to make just a light pencil mark. So we'll know where to stamp the other stamp. And then we'll pull that out. And then we're going to stamp the other one right there. And it just says, collect moments, not things. I'm going to try my best to get that straight as I can. It looks pretty good. We'll take that one off. Pick this one up. And then I'm just going to lay my magnets right here on the edge just so it doesn't pick up, hopefully. I'm stamping again with the VersaFine. It makes a good black impression. And that's what we want on here. I'm not putting very much pressure on it. I'm just making sure it all connects to the paper. Oh, and that looks good. I don't think I'll have to stamp it again. Alright, and then I'm going to take my mono eraser. I can't even talk. And I'm going to erase those little pencil lines. Even though they probably won't be seen from the top, but we're going to erase them anyway. Then we're going to erase that little line right there that we put on there. Okay. So there we go with that. It says find joy in the ordinary, and then when it's slid out it'll say collect moments, not things. Now we're ready for the top part. Now I have cut two different pieces. You can make this card where it would open if you wanted to, but when it opens they're going to see this. So if you want to decorate that up a little bit or cut another slot, put something down there, you can. Just make your top portion about a ½ inch larger and score a ½ inch so that you can hook it on there. I'm just going to put mine down since the sentiment is going to show through anyway, so you'll see what I mean in a minute. Alright, so for the top, this is what we have. We have a piece that is cut by 5 by 7, and then a coordinating piece that is cut at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And we're going to put this down on top of that one. I go ahead and mat it first. Again, on this, if you want one of these, I will put a link below. We do not sell them because the shipping on these would be more than what you'd need to pay. We sell the refills, but we don't sell the ATG guns, but I'll put a place underneath where you can get them, and usually I always get free shipping on them. So let's see. Alright, just center that up. So see, that's our top piece. And now what we need to do is cut a slit in here that is about this size. So this is 1 1/4. We want to cut it about 1 inch wide. So what I want to do is find my center from one edge to the other. Find the center. So let's see. That looks like the center right there. I'm going to make a tiny mark. And then on each side of that, we want to come out a ½ inch on that side and a ½ inch on that side. Okay, and then do the same thing on this end. Find your center. So right there's our center, and then a ½ inch here, a ½ inch here. Now once you get all of this cut out, you can make a template to lay on top of this and cut out again and again and again, and you don't have to redo this every time. This is just the first time, and I've got a template, but I wanted to show you how to do this, so I'm not going to be using my template. Alright, now we want to come in a ½ inch, so I'm just putting that ½ inch mark there. I'm going to draw me a little line, just a little narrow line, and do the same thing on the other end. ½ inch, and just draw me a little line, a little really light. So you're coming in a ½ inch from the ends. And now what I'm going to do is I'm putting my ruler on one of the marks there, the other mark down here, the ones on the outside, and I'm just going to draw a little line to that, coming up to the top, and it's going to be much easier for me to show you in just a minute. Then we're going to come up to the top and we're going to do the same thing. Alright, so now if you don't have a ruler that shows you the center, don't worry about it. Come in 2 inches from this side and make a little mark. 2 inch from this side and make a little mark. And then 1/2 inch from here in and make a mark. Then do the same thing on the other end. Draw you a line, and this is the portion in here that you want to cut out. Now I'm just going to double check mine because it looks like that one's a little off. But no, it's not. It just looks like that one's a little crooked. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. Okay. Now once we get this cut out, we can erase all of those lines, so no problem there. Alright, I am going to use, this is a We Are Memory Keeper ruler. This is the one I'm going to use because it's a lot easier for me to hold in place and cut. I can hold it at the top. It has that non-skid on there, so I can put it down and then hold it in place. It's just a lot easier for me to hold with my bad wrist. And then I'm just going to cut all the way through. When you're using an X-Acto knife, make more passes. You don't have to press so hard, just make more passes with it. Alright, so there's one side. I'm telling you, this thing's a lifesaver when you've got a bad wrist. I broke my wrist years ago and it didn't heal back right, and I don't want to go back and have it re-broke, so I have just been toughing it out, but my wrist doesn't bend like it should, and so it's hard for me sometimes to use something that I have to really turn my wrist with. So this makes it so much easier because I can just press down on the top of this. Alright, we're going to cut that right there. Make sure that I don't cut too far. Now you could put this back in your trimmer and do this if you want to. I will put a link to these below as well. I think we have a couple left in stock. Alright, and then we're just going to erase our pencil marks. Alright, that is your top. Now you can take this one and trace it on another piece of paper, trace this out, and that can be your template. So what we want to do now is this needs to go right on top of there, just like that. I'm going to use some score tape around the edges because sometimes wet glue will seep in and it'll close that opening up. So score tape is just a lot better at this point. And just put it right out to the end. Don't put it up to the edge here. Put it out to the end of the card. This is another one of those cards that I'm designing as we go. This is not in any database anywhere, or I haven't seen another one made exactly like this, so this is just being made up as we go. Hopefully that's okay with y'all. Alright, let's pull the backing off of our score tape. If I could find my little tool, we would. Well, I don't know where my little pokey tool is. I think my daughter borrowed it. We're going to put this down right on top of that as even as we can get it. It should be just the right size. There we go. Just the right size. Now, that should still slide in and out, which it does. And it'll be a little tight the first couple of times you pull it in and out. Just give it time and it'll loosen up. Alright, now what we're going to do is decorate this up a little bit. I know you looked at that and went, oh, that's going to be it. No. We're going to put a butterfly right here. So here we've got another butterfly. I want to put it facing that way. So I am going to put just a little bit of tape right down the center of that, where we're going to bend him. So that's going to sit down right in the center of that. And I'm going to try to look at it this way. There we go. Just like that. And then I've cut out a little bow, and that's going to go right up here. And this, all of this butterfly, the die, the bow and the die, all of this came from this Altenew, and it's called Bejeweled. You get this, all the stamps and the dies to go with them. So I will put a link. We did have one of these left in stock, but I'm not sure it's still there. If it is, I'll put a link below. If not, I'll see if I can find it and put a link down there. Alright, now what we want is some foam tape to put this bow up on. And I don't want to have to color them, so I just stamped them. And I can tell you what I used. I used iced spruce, distress oxide in the iced spruce to stamp this, and then I just used the back of this paper to stamp it, and then I just colored in a little bit with my Copic marker, and then I'm going to put some probably some Wink of Stella on there, and then on this one I just used that same color here and I stamped that out like that, and I'm going to put some Wink of Stella on there. But first we're going to trim this off just a little bit. I don't want it quite that long, so I'm going to trim it about right there. And then I'm just going to trim a little bit of an angle. Just like that. And then you could put pull right there if you wanted to. But you can see when you pull it out, the butterfly flies. And then you push it back in, and your butterfly is there. And I think I'm going to use the Nouveau glitter pen to glitter this up. And I'm going to go over it real quick because since I used that Tim Holtz ink to stamp this with, that is not a permanent ink. So if I get it very wet, it's going to smear just a little bit. So I'm just going over it real quick. And I think we'll do the same on the bow. And I'm just going to be very, very careful because this would show a lot more than the butterfly would. Okay. So there we go on that. And then of course I've got to put some stickles on here because that's not enough shine for me. Okay, and then to dress this up just a little bit more, we're going to put some of these little ice crystals on here, just in some different spots, I think. So there they are. There's our butterfly. And then there is our bow. Isn't that cute? And that is all I'm going to do to it. I'm going to, as my butterfly dries, I'm going to pop him up just a little bit. But I think that's all I'm going to do to it. It is finished. There is your card. Pull him out. There's your sentiment on the inside. And like I said, if you want, you could always flip it over and write a message on the back. Or if you wanted to make this where you could open it, you could always just make the flap where you could open it. It doesn't matter. I just wanted mine closed like that. I think that's cute. Alright guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to share it, like it, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.